welcome to the Somewhat Podcast Men. Today we have a special illustrious guest on the show today. Today we have Lady Z. And in our theme of getting experts onto the show and protecting their identities with sunglasses and a hat, Lady Z is a lawyer, an immigration lawyer. She's been in the practice for 10 years. She's a member of the Maryland Court of Appeals, along with the American Immigration Lawyer Association. So, welcome, Lady Z. My name is Alex, and welcome aboard.
This is Risque, and thank you, you beautiful, intelligent viewers. Thank you for clicking on the show. We definitely have a very important and relevant topic, which is immigration, which is always in the news. It causes a lot of emotions on one side or the other, and we're hoping to dissect through the propaganda and give you a more balanced view. Saint.
Welcome to the show, Lady Z, and I think this is going to be actually something I'm interested in myself, this topic. And I'm not going to be shooting any comments at risk today, but I think maybe it's lunchtime, so I'm not just fully, loaded right now. But
hey, why is Trump in your background? What's going on with that?
I noticed that too. He has a covering.
It's. I think Riz actually talked me into doing that, and I just fell for it. Putting that background up, and it's kind of, I don't know, it kind of feels heavy on my left side right now.
That whole wall is made by Pakistani steel, bro. They shipped it straight from Pakistan to the border.
If that wall is made from Pakistani steel, then Mexicans are gonna have no problem getting through it.
They're not having problems now, bro. What are you talking about?
True.
That thing's just like an obstacle course for them.
But let's begin. So, Lady Z, like I always ask our guests, if you could tell our viewers, why do you think this topic is important? Why should they care about it? And also maybe was there anything in particular that led you to become a lawyer and be passionate in this field?
I'll start out first just why I became interested in immigration. I think, because immigration is one of those areas of law that it's not, what do they call, sexy. It's not like fancy law where you're, in front of the courtroom, jury all the time and stuff like that, like you see in movies. But it has like an emotional and human component to it. Even though immigration, or this whole topic of immigration, is a little bit rough, and sometimes things end up being more difficult than they need to be. There's some really great stories. I mean, there's some really great outcomes. You are able in this area of law to really help people. You can have a person I think the whole thing, I had my first case when I was in law school. We had to do some work on different cases. So we were doing like a pro bono case. And this person happened to be, they were a young person, young wife. She had 2 small kids, and she had crossed the border, over the border as a baby. She was 6 months old, and her mom basically brought her in here. And she'd been, undocumented all of that time. She ended up in immigration court, and she had a child who was really sick, who had a heart condition, and her husband actually was in the military. So the whole thing for her was, I could get deported. My kids are going to be gone. My husband would lose his job because he was working in I guess top secret projects. So he would have lost his job because, his wife was deported. And we were able to, and this doesn't happen often, where you walk in and the judge is granted, like that, granted, you got it. So that doesn't happen, but that happened with that. And then that was it for me, because everyone's crying. Everything's so dramatic. They're like, yay, it's like they won the lottery. And I was like, oh, I want in on this. This is good stuff. But 10 years later, I keep up with it because of even though it's hard, even though you have some crazy stuff happening, or messed up losses. It's those stories where you have those people who just hug you and be like, "You changed my life. I can't, thank you so much." That's what keeps you going. As far as like immigration, I mean, I think it is an important topic, because what was the United States founded on? I mean, we were founded on immigration. I mean, we wouldn't be here if we didn't come from somewhere else. So this is a topic that's really important. It's a topic because with bringing immigrants here to America, you're bringing in new blood. You're bringing in a change of ideas, new intellect. Like, there's just so many benefits to bringing immigrants to the United States. And economically, through education, through medical. I mean, there's just so many reasons why you should have immigrants and why it's important. But people think, why do I want people to come here? I mean, but you have to kind of, I think it's what happens is you especially if people have been here, like you're the second generation, maybe, or third generation or whatever, you're like, we don't need more people here. But you forget, actually you do. Actually you do. So who's, because they're like, oh, those immigrants are stealing our jobs,
Right.
But, a lot of people forget, well, what kind of job do a lot of immigrants do? I mean, are you going to be washing dishes at the restaurant? Probably not. Who's the one who cleans up after you at the bathroom? Who's the one who's sweeping the streets? Who are the people there's a lot of people that are doing stuff that's really important, the everyday man doesn't want to do. I don't want to get my hands dirty. I'm not doing that.
Do you think that the immigration debate has been hijacked by the political parties, and that they kind of use it as a football to further their own agenda and not really talk about the actual issues that are
I
relevant?
can answer that, yes. One thing I did want to point out that was interesting about with Lady Z was talking about was so when President Trump was in office, part of his goal was to reduce the amount of immigration coming into the country, and there was an economic reason behind it, right? So and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, right? So his philosophy behind it was that if you reduce the amount of immigrants coming into the country to a very low level and only allow high-skilled immigrants into the country, and you reduce the amount of money going into social welfare programs, that people would be forced into taking these menial jobs, these tasks, in high labor-intensive tasks, and the companies would be forced to pay more in order to attract people to do the job, or figure out a way around the labor issue. And I don't know if that's the right or wrong idea, and I don't know if other administrations, both Democrat and Republican, are trying to reduce the amount of immigrants coming into the country, but I did want to point that out.
I mean, we're kind of seeing the results now of the Trump policy. I mean, part of it too is COVID, because COVID happened, the borders were closed, so we didn't get as many immigrants. But I think politically, yes, they're just using this idea, this immigration topic, to kind of just push forward their agenda. But at the end of the day, it's just all talk. Like nothing happens. But when related to like Trump and how he wanted to reduce the amount of immigrants coming in here, small business owners are feeling it. I mean, there's a lot of restaurants that are closing. There's a lot of just small businesses, they can't find workers. So he's saying, okay, let's reduce the social welfare program. I mean, those people are just finding other ways to make easy money. I mean, if they're not going to do the social welfare program, I mean, I don't know, they're selling socks on the internet or something.
To this day, the blueberries, the strawberries, if you find a field where there's white folk picking up and collecting them, for the farms, just let me know. I would really. I'm honestly, what you just said. That is exactly what these farmers are also feeling when they lost that cheap labor to pick up the berries and the strawberries from the farms. Because it's a pretty tedious task. Picking a berry bush, not fun.
There's no machine for it.
Yeah.
No, okay. So Lady Z. So I guess we definitely have to differentiate between legal immigration versus illegal immigration, and I think I think that's important to sort of point out. So in terms of legal immigration, are there any policies that you think that need to be improved upon to make it work better?
Well, I mean, with legal immigration, exactly what you said, like if you differentiate legal immigration from illegal immigration. So with legal immigration, those workers, a lot of those people, they're not coming through that way. Like that's not the way they're coming in because there's just no access to them for that. You could apply for a visa 20 times, you're not going to get it. So with legal immigration, there has to be something for that group. There's a huge group who could potentially benefit the United States, right? With providing more labor, a bigger labor force, with providing more taxes, because they honestly, like even, illegal immigrants, they pay taxes. So we're making money. So why don't we have a policy that allows people to come here, work, because that's what the goal is. I mean, that's what most of the people who are coming here unlawfully is because they're living in poverty and it's worth it for them to take this trek, right?
Yeah.
Like through the desert and basically chance that they're going to die, and many do die on the way here, because they want to create a better life. So why can't we create a legal program for that? I mean, definitely there's a need for that. And
Now, okay. Sorry, go ahead, Alex. Yep.
Are you talking about seasonal immigration?
no, I don't think it should be seasonal. I think that it should be it could be limited. Like they could say, okay,
Right.
it's a 5-year program or something, or I mean, before 2001, Mexicans could come and cross the border and they would come here and work, and if they had a card, they could come and back and forth. I don't know why we can't continue a program like that. If you do it legally, then you know who's coming in. You can do background checks on the people if that's a concern, because they're always saying, "Oh, criminals are coming, blah blah blah."
No, that's an excuse. That's an
Yeah,
excuse.
so okay, well,
Yeah.
if you don't want criminals, let's have background checks, right?
Yeah.
Let's
Well,
have
background
legit
checks cost money, right?
But
They're spending money, stopping.
No, you
people at
can,
the border
yeah,
with the
yeah.
wall.
You
I
can
mean,
have
there's-
them pay for it. If they want to come here,
Yeah, that's
they pay
right.
for their background check.
Yeah.
Lady
I mean, there's
Z.
a fee, there's filing fees, right? 'Cause
Exactly.
you have to the people who come here unlawfully, they're paying $12,000 to $20,000 to
Yeah, to
smuggle.
get smuggled in. Yeah.
Okay, it's $1 billion business. The United States could get in on that, but legally, right? Legally, how? If you allow this group of people to come here legally, they'll pay the fee. I mean, if they're paying $12,000, a $1,200 or $1,700 fee or whatever, is not going to be a lot.
Yeah, I'd say that the
so it's worth
political
it.
parties don't have an incentive to make
Right.
lasting
Yeah.
change. They're for their objectives, there needs to be chaos and a little bit of
Oh, I hear
Instability.
conspiracy in that tone. There.
No, there's no conspiracy, bro, my man. None, not a single lick of conspiracy in that. In order for the political parties to function, they need chaos, they need instability, so they can say, "Oh my God, look at the Republicans, what they're doing. Oh my God, look at the Democrats, what they're doing." So they can just achieve their objectives, and their objectives is just to stay in power. They have no real desire to fix anything. So let's be real when we're discussing.
No,
this,
I agree with you there. I'm
Well,
on the
ladies,
same
yeah,
page.
Yeah, I wanted to drill down on one point because I think what you said is really important, and I think the viewers need to hear this again. So, one, you mentioned that even people who are illegally pay taxes. So, people out there, there's this sort of myth that people who are illegal don't pay any taxes. So, I wanted to
Yeah.
reemphasize that. Number two, From what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're saying is that the current system of legal immigration does not bring enough productive workers to meet the needs of America. Is that correct?
100% correct. That is 100% correct.
Okay. I just wanted to. Okay.
Well, because the programs allow for tech people to come through, and like highly educated. Which yes, that's great. Like we need those people. We need the highly educated people. Okay. We need but in many ways it's kind of like a monopoly, with that area.
Yeah. Certain countries have a monopoly on sending tech workers to the United States.
Yeah. So
cough, India. Cough, India.
And like if Riz K or Saint or Lady Z, do you guys know why there's a monopoly on that? Is there a reason why there's a monopoly on certain countries? Is there like a vested interest in that via certain companies, or is that?
Well, I think part of it is the cost, because you get highly qualified people for a lower cost, so because even if they sponsor them, for a green card, right? So the like the H-1B, worker visa is temporary. It's like a 5-year program. Yep. So after that time is up, can sponsor them, but then they end up so these people end up being stuck in that position for up to a decade because they're waiting for their green card, right? That's cheaper labor. Not saying that it's super cheap. It's not like they're paying, $10 an hour, but they're paying less than they would probably pay an American worker.
Yeah. That reminds me like indentured servitude.
Yeah, I don't know, man. 120K annually doesn't feel like indentured servitude.
That's a fair point.
The thing is, okay, so they go by what the wage that is presented to them by the federal government. So the Labor Department says for this position, this is how much you have to pay. But the thing is, though, the position that they may be presenting to the Labor Department may not necessarily be the position that person is working at. So that person could be working at a position that American worker could earn maybe 200K, and they're paying them 60.
I have another theory, and let me see what you guys think. I think one reason why, or maybe one of the reasons why the Indian sort of workforce is so much more noticeable in this tech industry, and they dominate the H-1 visas is number one is like obviously like there's a lot of Indians who already work in Silicon Valley, and a lot of them are already like have like their CEOs and things like that. And just culturally speaking, they tend to like help one another out. So like, for example, if there's like an Indian dude who's got like a nice gig at Oracle, he's going to call up his homie in Bangalore or wherever. And then through that networking, they all, come to the same type company. So I think that might be another factor. I don't know. I think
the immigration system, like that level of like the employment sector is that it is, because it's like who you know. Do you know somebody? Networking. Somebody else is going to help you. Yeah, I mean that's because most companies straight from the street are not going to want to hire a person who's not documented or who's
not recommended.
Yeah, I think the Pakistanis, they like to play solo. They don't like networking.
Yeah. Indians are much better. I think Indians seem to be better at helping each other out than Pakistanis. In my experience.
The Pakistani find the spot. They're like, I hope to God nobody else looks like me comes here.
They like to pull the legs instead of helping the fellow brother. Unfortunately.
Wow.
All right. So let's move on to like illegal immigration. So in terms of illegal immigration, I guess right now, like, is the most number of illegal immigrants, they come from Mexico? Is that the case, or is it somewhere else?
I would say South America. So there's
South America.
It's so Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, right? So
geography nerd interruption. Technically, that's Central America.
Sorry, Central America. Sorry. Central and South America. Let's say that. Central and South America. So yeah, I mean, most of the people are coming from there, but it's because the area is very unstable. I mean,
Right.
financially, I mean, I have so I have one, there's one family specifically that they told me, they're all living like in a room together. There's like a husband, wife, like two kids. They're like, yeah, but we're happy. We were we were like living in a tin roof shack and we had no food and
Right.
one room with our whole family. They're like, we have running water, we have food all the time, like we have good, paying jobs. We're happy. We were basically on the streets before, so it's worth the risk. I mean, can you imagine, like, if you were living in a tin hut or on the street, basically, and you have a chance to have a nice warm bed, and this is the basics. I'm talking about
Yeah.
basics of what it is to be able to survive, right? Food, nice warm bed, running water. That's what they're looking. A lot of people. Yes, there are those cases of people who are trying to get away from, domestic violence situation, trying to get away from gang violence, which is huge in those countries. Huge problem, gang violence. Yes, there's a lot of people trying to get away from really bad stuff, but there is a huge majority also who are just trying to economically improve their lives.
Now, this is I have a question, and I don't know if you know it or not, or if there's been any research done on it or not. But I'd be curious to know, because in the media, a lot of times you hear that a lot of people feel that illegal immigrants cause a huge drain on the American economy and society and whatnot. Has there been any research that's looked at the economic impact of illegal?
So that's public opinion. All of
Right,
that is
right.
public opinion. But the
There's no
reality
data.
of it,
There's no raw data.
no, not. I mean, I'm sure there's something out there,
Yeah,
but just
right.
being on the ground myself and seeing, true effects of that is completely false. That is super, because illegal immigrants have no access to government resources. Zero. I mean, like if you're an asylee, you might be able to get some Medicaid benefits,
Okay.
or maybe food stamps or something like that. But the government's not paying you money. It's not like you
Right.
can tap into the welfare system and you're just living at large. It doesn't happen like that here. Most of the people are working
Right.
hard, and 2-3 jobs or more. Their kids start working 15. They're
Yeah.
out working.
Yeah.
So the fact that I hate when people say that, like when they
Right.
say, "Oh, the immigrants, they're just taking our money and they're just
Yeah,
here."
I feel like
blah,
people
blah,
who say
blah."
that either fall into two categories. They have no real experience with immigrants. They haven't worked with them or been around them, or been around their kids or gone to school with their kids. Or they're just bigoted and looking for an angle in order to complain about something. And if you're a politician, then they're using it as a bullet in their chamber.
Platform for
Yeah, in their
them.
platform.
So while we're still talking about the illegal immigrants, basically, they cannot access any of the welfare system or the social. Yeah. Well,
Yeah. I
so the
think they
Medicaid
could.
you said was only for the
Here.
asylees, right? They
Well,
may.
for the asylees, yeah. So asylees, and it's because they're here seeking protection and help,
Right.
right? So those people who are, like pending asylees or granted asylees, they do have some access, but it's not like it's anything that really gives them a bunch of benefits. I mean, a little, $150 a month for food or something.
This is
like
specifically illegal immigrants?
legal
No,
immigrants.
Okay.
So asylees we're talking about.
Asylees, but many of them, not all, but many do come in illegally.
Illegal.
And then they apply for asylum within the first year of them arriving, okay, which they have completely the right to do. I mean, that is legally allowed. You can, and that's why they can have access to those benefits. I mean, it's nothing amazing. If you go to like okay, so let's compare, okay, to what Americans get compared to maybe another country. So let's go to the closest country next to us, which is Canada. Canada, you are an asylee, okay? You get a house, you get a money, a monthly
Yeah, son.
stipend, okay? They will give you educational benefit. They help you with like career development, like everything. You get it all, okay? That does not happen here. You walk into
Who's
America.
paying for that? Who pays for that?
Well, they pay for the government pays for the taxpayers. Pay
But
for
who
that.
pays the
I mean,
government?
Taxpayers.
The Canadian taxpayers.
Taxpayers,
yeah,
yeah.
they pay for that. I mean, but we don't. In America, none of those people don't get that. They don't get anything close to that. So they're kind of thrown in. Half the time, they don't even know they can apply for asylum, and they might have this like horrible claim.
Well,
like,
Canada
like-
can afford all that because they haven't been, on a war path for the past 2 decades. Okay, the
Good point,
taxpayer
Sam.
money over here has been going in wars and wars and wars.
They also can afford it because they have a 45% tax rate too. Anyways,
No, but
continue.
Well,
good points.
they have less population. I mean, they encourage people because they're trying to increase their
Because
population.
it's so cold
But-
up there. Plus, you can get eaten by a moose or some shit. Who the hell wants to go there, man?
But also, like, I think just philosophically, their ideology is obviously different than America's as well. So
It is.
there's that aspect of it too.
Yeah, I think the cold affects their minds too.
What do you mean?
You kind of just go numb and you don't act violently like we do here.
Okay.
Interesting theory, Saint.
Well, we're just throwing it out there, so I said might as well, just see what happens.
I believe it. I like it.
Probably right. Probably right. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, the more south you get, right?
True. More loco you get. Looking like.
Right? I mean,
Yeah. Apparently in the
Where's
UK they had a
Nigeria?
heat
Where's
wave
it?
and those guys are like, "Oh my god, this is so hot." I'm
We're
like,
going nuts
"Really?"
in the-
I mean, in
Yeah.
the immigration world, we know it. They're like, oh, don't go to Texas. You don't want to do that.
So, when they had this during the Trump presidency, they had this what they were calling the something train or coming for the immigration.
There was a freedom thing.
Yeah, there was
What?
a lot of there was a lot of migrants coming to the borders.
Oh,
Yeah,
When they
yeah.
actually-
they were doing, the
They
migrant
separated the parents from
the
the
caravan.
kids. Yeah, the caravan. That's it.
Migrant caravan, yeah.
And did you have to deal at that time? Did you actually had to deal with any cases for the people coming seeking asylum, or knew anything about it? Like
Are you saying like because the parents were getting separated? From
right,
the kids?
right.
I mean, I mean, it was many of us in the immigrant community were having to deal with that, where parents were separated from their kids for X months, and kind of the backlash of that, because what they didn't realize is that it was psychologically affecting these kids. I mean,
Yeah.
kids are coming out like PTSD.
How could you
and-
not realize that seperating
It's
a
just like
5-year-old
they
from their
didn't even
parents?
consider that. They're like,
Some-
let's take this 6-month-old baby away from their mom.
Yeah.
I mean, and so we don't even talk about it now, but there's still effects
Yeah.
of that. A lot of kids, because they didn't trust their parents for a while because they were away from them for a year. Who knows what was happening to those kids?
Yeah.
We know that the institutional system is wrought with like bad stuff happening. Because there was a lot of stories of kids getting abused,
course.
selling kids,
Yeah.
all of that stuff. There was kids having to present to court by themselves. Like there was a judge, he protested. He's like, I am not going to rule on a kid who's by themselves, who can't even, they can't even talk, and I'm gonna deport them. Like, what the heck is that? Like, it was a problem, obviously. So that's why that program.
How long did
ended.
that last? I
think it was about a year or so.
Yeah, I
I
found
think it was
that.
pushing to 2 years.
Yeah, during the Trump administration, what I found was is that when it came to topics like this, like immigration, like the green card ban and all that other stuff, like he would make a reactionary decision, an executive note, reactionary decision. His administration would have to scramble behind him to try to meet his expectations. And then after about well, even sooner than then, but let's be kind. After 6 months, it would be like, oh, well, we can't do this. And then he'd spend another 6 months trying to defend it and then slowly roll out until one day they're like, okay, we're done, we'll do something else. And, you know, while some people may say that some of his ideas might be good or beneficial to the country, I'd say that the rollout, especially when it has to deal with immigration, was substandard, and it affected a lot of people in a negative way, and it hurt a lot of children.
That people don't realize is these are human beings. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say substandard is not a strong enough word. I would say inhumane.
I think the humanity has been escaping people. It's basically, I think there's, I don't know, maybe it's the media or something, but I feel they have been dehumanizing, the public for various things to various whatever. But I've just started feeling like people have less courtesy towards each other, less compassion, and they are very quick to judge, very quick. Don't even give them time to put themselves in their shoes or anything.
Yeah,
but
and the way sorry, go ahead.
But I did want to ask you, like, so you've been an immigration lawyer for at least a decade, and the immigration laws of the United States, how many of them have you seen get better or worse over time?
Oh my God. The thing is that's so frustrating about working in this area of law is like I could go to sleep tonight and tomorrow I'm going to wake up with something completely different. Like and the policies, the way they've been implementing them are that fast. Like they just change things as willy-nilly as they feel like it. So, okay, yes, there are some things that have gotten better in some ways. Mainly though related to like the work, the business arena, I would say. With immigration, like for not, illegal immigrants, that topic, what happened was they kind of rolled back. So, during the Obama time, like things were okay, right? But what I see is the trend is kind of downhill trend, especially starting from 9/11, it's just all to garbage, right? So we have backlogs, like the asylum system. Let's say I come here as a visitor and I apply for asylum, like you can't do that. And you could be waiting for your case to be heard, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years, 7 years, but they keep changing the policy. Like they'll say, okay, the first person in is the one who gets their case heard. But then what about the other people who are waiting? Oh, go back. Okay, no, but we're going to see here the person who was the last. And then then what happens is this back and forth causes so much backlog, problems, chaos. It's chaotic because there's in many ways, we're just like, I don't even know what they're doing.
Yeah. Do you think that there's been a tangible difference between administrations, between Democrat and Republican administrations? Has there been a tangible difference, or is it all smoke and mirrors?
Well, I mean, I think that, okay, let's say like Trump administration we were like on a combative mode. Like we were just like, okay, we were just expecting the worst. So we're just kind of like, what's going to happen next? Right. And just how do we deal with this? But I mean, I think that the immigrant community dealt with it pretty well. They were constantly vigilant and putting in, so let's say Trump would roll out some garbage law or whatever, immediately there would be a lawsuit, stop it. We would just kind of continue on our way in a different way, right? Biden has kind of been rolling back some of these stupid regulations that they made, but he's not like making anything better. He's just putting it back to what it was.
Yeah,
initially.
I want the listeners to kind of open their ears and hear this. It's Biden era, And we're just going to say it again. He's been rolling back some of these things and not making anything easier or better. So, next time you hear a Republican screaming and, like the liberals are here, the Mexicans are going to jump over the border. Okay.
No, he's not. I mean, we thought there was so much hope when he came in. We're like, oh my God, he's going to create like a green card program. He's going to do, all these like really big changes. Okay, he's been presenting bills. Okay, but all of this stuff gets put into the whole political washing machine, right?
Yeah.
So he puts it in one thing, and then he puts this out, that out, blah, blah, blah. And then by the time it gets to the Senate, it's just shot down. What's the point? I mean, it's just like, if they're going to always do that, like it's always going to get shot down. Nothing's going to happen. He knows that that's what the case is, so he can talk. He can say literally whatever he wants. He knows it's not going to happen.
Yeah, there's no incentive for either party to like develop a system. Yeah.
Yeah. They could actually make money from this, but yet they just tend to just keep putting it under the rug.
Oh, there's so much money. The thing is, okay, so let's say he did, because in 2001, Bush rolled out this like amnesty program where he kind of allowed everybody who was here illegally to like get status, right? Well, that's part of the presidential powers that you can do that. There's a law there that says you can do this. They can do. There can't really be too much pushback. Like, you can do this. Why can't he do that? Why can't he use that law that's still valid, that's still usable, that hasn't been struck down? Why can't he use that law to do the same now?
Because he doesn't believe in it.
He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to do that, which it would help. Just the fees alone could make billions. Just the fees alone could make so much money. Plus the taxes that they would pay. Plus it would be great. Are they going to do that? I don't see it happening anytime.
Yeah. Let's move into how you think that we could fix immigration. So briefly, how do you think we could fix the immigration?
Well, I mean, I think obviously they have to stop fighting. I think if the the Republicans kind of came out with this bill that they took some of the Democratic ideas and then they made their own bill. So first you have to address the illegal population that's already here. Okay, so we have to address the illegal population.
Just kind of let's frame that, the illegal population. That's everybody talks about. Hey, we got the illegals here. They're draining everything. So let's just focus on the illegal. What's the best way to fix that issue?
I mean, so let's say they don't want to give them green cards. But you could give, they're here, but you could give like some type of temporary status that it gives them a work authorization, ability to apply for permission to travel. I think that's enough. I mean, for them, that would be enough. They would be content with that. Maybe you could try to do this path to green card, or if they have a kid, their kid, just make it easier that if you have family ties here already, that you could kind of become legal or
facilitate a way where they don't actually go in hiding more. They'd rather be like, all right, you know what? I think this is a reasonable way to become legal or do job. So instead of rolling out those ICE agents, and we're seeing these YouTube videos of ICE popping people everywhere. Wow.
Well, I mean, the thing is, so if they did that, I think, because they keep talking about crime, who's a priority for deportation, criminals. Okay, well, if you can weed out some of those people because, they're going to apply too, right? And then you could say, oh, no, this person has, this crime or drug trafficking.
And if they get through any felony crime committed in the next 10 years, it's
Lady Z, do you think that Justin Bieber should be granted asylum or deported?
I'm sure he probably already has a green card, so pretty sure.
Sorry, all you believers out there.
I'm sure he figured that one out.
I got my peaches down in Georgia.
Oh, that song. All right.
You know, I guess I'm probably lucky. I never heard any of his songs, so
Really?
yeah.
How can you not, dude? He's everywhere.
You are a liar. You are a liar.
Apparently, the YouTube algorithm didn't send any of his crap my way. So,
But all right, back to the topic after that Bieber break.
So after illegal immigration, what's next?
So after illegal immigration, then I think they need to address the people who are trying to come in. So they have to make a legal way. And the thing is that's crazy is like this literally could happen from one day to the next. It's something that they could say, you know what, we're not gonna sleep tonight. We're gonna put this together. Here, let's present it. Everybody likes it. Let's go. Let's move this forward. It's that easy. It's that easy to make reform in the immigration system and set it up because they do garbage stuff in literally a day or two. They could do this. They could do this quick, but the problem is they don't want to. I mean,
Right.
politics is just it's frustrating because the people go there, you know, like when I was in law school, I didn't know that much about, you know, before I went to law school, I didn't know too much about like politics per se. But after, you know, because I used to go to the Hill and I used to go and sit in those meetings, I went to like the Democratic National Convention and all that stuff, right? So I saw it and I'm like, these are politicians. I'm like, this is what they do? So they get paid just to kind of sit around and chat, you know, like just talk to each other. Like, because
Line me
that's
up.
what it is. It's like, you know what? What topic should we do today? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of. I feel like that's what they do. Like, what are we gonna chat about today? You know,
their job is to raise money.
Get some coffee for me. You know, I don't know. It's just like, I think it's just all talk. They don't want to do anything, and I think if they did really have some incentive to do something, it's an easy fix. It is.
so
it's a really
just
easy fix.
gonna echo what she just said, so the listeners can remember what she said. If they wanted to fix it, they can fix it in a day. Just how they mess it up in a day.
Now, Lady Z, what can the viewers or listeners, just a regular person, like what can they do to become more active, engaged in this topic, because otherwise I feel like there's a sense of nihilism sets in, a sense of despair that, oh, nothing's ever going to get better, and this and that.
I mean, it's hard to say exactly what a person could do because one is if there is some type of law that or some type of bill that gets presented and it's decent, is let your lawmakers know that you're interested in this and that if they don't for it, you're probably not going to vote for them either. So because that's what drives them, the votes. Right. So they're like, oh, I want to be back in in the next term. So
I think awareness.
Awareness.
I just like a lot of the stuff you kind of demyth, on the show about like the illegals taking. Oh, they're just taking all the taxpayers' money. How? So people making themselves a little more educated about the immigration law and what affects the asylees, what does not affect the asylees or the illegals and stuff, can better judge, when a politician is lying to you or not.
And I guess what I also hear you saying, Lady Z, is that the people should use their because the voting percentages is kind of low in elections generally, right? I think in the general elections, it's still at, even when there's a high turnout election, it's at like maybe 50% of the country. So that means there's a lot of people who are not voting.
50% of the eligible voting public.
Okay. So that means that a lot of people are not voting no matter what, right? So I think that could be an important point, is to not to be apathetic about your right to vote.
Politicians react to voting.
Yeah, right.
And so like if you're it doesn't matter what party you vote for. If you vote for a specific party and a group of your like-minded individuals vote for that party as well, the party will meet your needs. And when you have general elections that are less than 50% of the voting eligible voting
Yeah.
public, and then you have primary elections and off-year elections, which are like even less than that, maybe 20%,
30%,
20
25
if
to
you're
30.
lucky.
Yeah, 30. Yeah.
So let's roll into final thoughts.
Okay.
Riz K, you want to start?
Well, I want to thank Lady Z for her presence, and she really definitely illuminated us, I think, today and talked about a lot of important issues. I think immigration, I would just say, don't let it be an emotional hot button for you. Like, do your own research. Look at the facts. Don't look at emotions. I think a lot of times people get overly emotional over this topic, and when they think with their emotions, they don't think as rationally. I think the debate has been hijacked in this country, unfortunately. The way it's going, unfortunately, I like to be an optimist. I like to look at the glass half full, not half empty. But I just don't see. It seems that the country is becoming more polarized. So I'm not seeing the will for the parties to come together to come to a real fix anytime soon. Anyway.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So you're saying that we may see a time where we are going to Canada and seeking asylum from the United States.
Hope it doesn't get there. It doesn't get. I mean, there was a bunch of people doing that when Trump got elected. That was that topic. How do I get to Canada? Can I get out of here?
Yeah, there was
good riddance, man.
There was a lot of head to the hills.
Yeah,
Well,
there's,
But I don't think that's the answer. The answer is
definitely
stand
not.
up and push for what is right. I mean, I think that's what the answer is.
If that really happens, the Canadians would already have had a wall built prior to us getting there.
And we've covered this on our gun regulation podcast. Like, according to Big O, our right to own and carry firearms is also to protect us. So it's part of our rights here as Americans. Now, one thing I did want to say is, if I had my final thoughts for today is, as you continue to watch our shows and like go through show by show, you're gonna see that there's just a lack of integrity, right? There's a lack of integrity with Congress. They have no incentive to move things forward because they're making money off of controversy. The executive branch is stuck in a situation where either they're not doing anything or they're forced to make executive presidential notes or whatever it's called, executive decisions that are ill thought through, pushed through quickly, last for 2 years, and then vanish. And then there's a lack of integrity in the populace, right? You can't, as an individual and as a citizen, pick a party and stick with that party come hell or high water. There are some things that the Republicans have right. There are some things that the Democrats have right. And you have to be able, based on your moral value, decide what's right and what's wrong. What I typically see is you'll see an individual that's a Democrat, and no matter what the DNC is saying at that moment, at that time, they agree with them. And you'll see an individual that's an RNC, and no matter what the Republican, and no matter what the RNC is saying, well, and like a year before they were saying something different. So each individual has to start with themselves. So if you want to improve immigration, you want to improve the country, you want to improve the way things are going, start with yourself by having integrity. This country is 250 years old. That means that there's somebody who's 80 years old right now, right? Who 3 people before them, 1, 2, 3, was here at the inception of the country. So, everyone came from somewhere. Everybody came from a different place. Unless you're a native, and then that's your right. Other than that, how we want to discuss immigration, what openings we want to have, what restrictions we want to have, how do we want to build and shape the country, should be based around that understanding. I grew up, I'm a first generation American. I grew up around immigrants, and I haven't met a lazy immigrant in my life. And if the people who say that are liars, straight up and down. You know, I hold very conservative viewpoints on a lot of different topics, and this is a conservative viewpoint. If you want hardworking Americans, you have to start with a hardworking immigrant. Saint.
Well said.
Well said. Well said. I do want to point out, the little stiff, facial expressions he's been having is because he's a family guy, and there's environmental sound where he's at. You could hear it, but we're all family guys. We got kids,
Sorry.
but mine are just a lot older, so they behave better. So, but it's all good, man.
Yeah, it's all good.
All right. So, final thoughts.
I think before we end, as always, if
Hold on.
he-
Lady Z
Lady Z has to do the final
Neither
thoughts,
did
yeah.
Saint. Saint, do you have any final thoughts?
I was surprised. I didn't want to say anything because he started, and I'm like, usually Riz doesn't pick up any cues, but all right.
Saint, do you have any final thoughts?
I just
Well,
gave
I mean,
mine.
Yeah.
Ah,
Well, I agree with what's already been said. I do agree with that. I mean, I think the bottom line is just like basic humanity. You know what I mean? It all boils down to basic humanity, right? And the whole, the United States says, right, it's like justice for all. It's not really. It's just like justice for some. So, so I mean, but I think if you think about it in that way, like really, we have to put ourselves in those positions. Think about what it's like to be somebody else, and then you might make better decisions about what is good for everybody, right? So, if you want, you kind of have to consider if you want freedom and rights for yourself. You need to want that for everybody. It's not just for some. It's for literally all of us. Whoever is here, whoever is coming here, has to be available, right? I think that doesn't happen. That's not really happening. It is like you get your rights, but not you.
You're right.
But
yeah,
the
don't
thing
let.
is, it's like almost like this hidden agenda, sort of,
Yeah.
but it's not. It's like a hidden but seen agenda. It's like we're
Yeah.
not going to talk about that.
Yeah,
but
don't
we're
let the
doing it.
political parties,
We're not talking about
push you against each other.
So I have a final thought. So, the show we were talking about, the newsroom with Jeff Daniels playing as the anchor.
Yeah.
So I just remembered something he said that we used to be great. We did used to when we stood for what was right, and we fought wars against poverty, not against poor people.
Integrity.
That was one of
Integrity.
the things he said. It's something he said. We had high morals.
Yes.
That's when we were the greatest country in the world.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Lady Z, thank you for coming on today. We would like to have you on again. If you accept another invitation, we'd be very appreciative. One topic I do want to talk to you about is birthright citizenship. So hopefully we can have a show about that.
Yeah. Actually,
I don't really know how
how
I feel
did we
about that.
miss even touching it
Well,
today?
because- I'll tell you why. I didn't bring it up because that topic is an hour show.
Oh,
So
okay.
let's save it.
Actually,
Alright.
Have
yeah,
Lady Z on again.
we would have really
Alright.
gone a path on that one.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, this
Yeah.
podcast was brought to you by Khalas Energy Drink.
Khalas.
One drink and Khalas. Also with Stay Fresh Lotus, Stay Fresh Lotus, Stay Fresh. And the Big Brown Deck Barbecue in Brantford, Florida. Come on down, eating's good. Also, I would like to mention that if you are an immigrant in need of lawyer services,
Oh, yeah.
please hire a professional lawyer. Don't try to
Yeah.
do it by yourself, all right? These people, these men and women, they know what they're doing. They know the system. They know how to get you your goal that you want. Don't be cheap. Don't worry, oh, why am I going to pay this person to do nothing? It's
Don't
not true.
argue with us.
Yeah,
Just
don't argue with them.
say.
You're not a lawyer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know? Okay, so like
But
one thing.
I googled it.
Yeah, one thing Lady Z has been
Says
mentioning is that she'll have clients that consistently argue with her about what the right thing to do. You did not go to law school. You don't. Chup khalas.
Class.
All right, everybody. Thank you for coming today.
So,
Thank you.
Alex, what you're saying is it's not Better Call Saul, it's Better Call Lady Z.
right.
Now, also, like for our listeners out there, please like, share, subscribe, spread the love, comments. We'd love to hear your feedback. Spread the love, not the hate. All right.
All right, thank you.